You're nothing but a chubby liability, Nora. Move already, your fat shadow's blocking the tips again. The words struck like thrown coins across the bustling floor of Carlotta's on Dearborn, ricocheting off imported marble with practiced cruelty. Nora Wilda's tray wobbled as her elbow was nudged aside by the restaurant manager, his mouth curled in a flicker of contempt for her heavy-set frame. A glass nearly spiraled to the ground. Her pulse thudded in her neck, cheeks burning as the lunch crowd's noise swelled. No one glanced, not even after an ice cube skittered to her feet. But someone noticed. Across the sea of clattering forks and echoing laughter, a silhouette loomed at table 9, back straight as a blade, silk suit crisp against dark wood. He didn't blink as Nora scrambled to balance the tray, eyes precise with the patience of a predator hunting in plain sight. When she stole a glance, the boss of the Romano syndicate stared back, thumb idling atop a cut crystal glass, his bodyguard stone-faced at his flanks. Unreadable, magnetic. Nora drew a shaky breath and turned, forcing herself toward the kitchen, heart pounding as the doors whispered shut behind her with a final, soft click. Inside, the kitchen was a maze of scalding steam and knife flashes. Nora flattened herself near the wall, her apron smudged and hands sticky with sweat. She retrieved another tray, counting meatballs mechanically, 1, 2, 3, 4, before forcing herself out to the roiling dining room. Her chest tightened when the manager snorted, "Try not to trip on your own feet this time," shoving a breadbasket her way. Table 9 waited. Don Marco Romano sat, chin angled, silvered hair swept back from a face honed sharp by power. His eyes held hers a half-second too long as she set down freshly poured scotch, apologizing under her breath. "Sorry, sir, just, pardon me," her words tumbled, voice thin. A faint crease appeared at the edge of Marco's mouth, not quite a smile. "You remember every order in this place, don't you?" His tone rippled low, dangerous, and oddly gentle. His gaze flicked to her wrist, noticing how Nora's hand timed the pour so his glass never spilled. Most guests never saw it. She managed, "I try, it's important. People here remember mistakes." "Most don't," he replied quietly, his words the gravity in a room full of helium. "Except you, Nora Wilda, that's your name, yes." He gestured casually for her to keep speaking, but she flushed, brushing a curl behind her ear. One of his bodyguards grunted in irritation at her proximity, and Marco's voice turned chilled. "She's working, let her finish. If you touch her, I'll cut you out of the will call." The man froze, sweat beading his brow. Nora refolded a soiled napkin with trembling fingers and set it by Marco's plate, precisely aligned. She felt his eyes, steady as a compass needle, follow the movement, assessing not her body but her careful order, something few ever noticed. The doors behind her slammed, signaling a shift in the air. She shivered and moved to the next table, feeling for the first time as if she'd been seen. Dinner hour twisted the restaurant into a theater, every table a stage. The new hostess, Leela, all bones and sneers, waited until half the room had eyes in her direction. "Better watch out, folks, Nora's serving tonight. Hope you're hungry. She could clear out the kitchen on her own," she said, pitch-perfect loud, sending scattered laughter rippling through the tables. Nora felt her throat close, the hot prickle of attention more painful than a slap, but steeled herself, balancing an overloaded tray, eyes fixed on Leela's stiletto heels. As she rounded table 6, a foot darted out. The tray pitched forward, bread, olives, and marinara veered, tumbling inches from Marco's lap. The room's laughter roared. "She's too slow to dodge," Leela chimed, grinning wolfishly. Nora willed herself not to cry. She pressed a fist to her side and, voice steady, said, "Your table's next. I promise not to let you starve." It landed. A few guests snickered with her. Leela's smile faltered, her mouth twisting. Before more humiliation could spark, Marco's chair scraped back. He rose, uncurling to his full height, tall and commanding, every line of his bearing issuing warning. "That's enough," he stated, each syllable a nail in the hush that fell. "You hostess." His finger, bejeweled with a signet ring, stabbed the air. "You're done for tonight. Go tell the kitchen manager he'll be getting a call." Leela's bravado shriveled, mask abandoned. "I was just she." "Did I ask?" Marco's gaze sliced through. Not a word more. When her eyes flicked for support, she found only slumped shoulders and averted gazes. Meanwhile, across the restaurant, a phone buzzed at Marco's table. His underboss, Vito, murmured into Marco's ear, "There's word from the south side. Cassini's men, 10 minutes." Marco's jaw clenched, eyes scanning exits, tension pulsed outward. Nora tried to melt into the wallpaper, but Marco pivoted, pinning her with a new clarity. "Go to the back office now, Nora. Wait for me." His attention shifted before she could object. She followed, footsteps uneven, head high despite heat burning her cheeks. By the time she reached the office, the rattle and drone of dinner had faded into the hush before a storm. The office was lined with mahogany, every corner catalogued in Marco's gaze as he entered minutes later. He closed the door softly behind him. Silence pressed between them. He spoke first, standing too close for safety. "Who was that girl, Layla, to you?" There was curiosity, not pity, in his tone. Nora fiddled with her apron string. "Nobody. She's unhappy, I think. She hasn't liked me since I started here. It's always been like this. People don't expect much from the heavy waitress." A weak smile tugged at her lips, gone an instant later. "It's not about expectations," Marco corrected gently, voice wrapped in velvet steel. "It's about sight. Most people don't see you, not really." His eyes probed, searching for cracks. Nora drew a breath, less shaky now. "That's fine, I see them. I know who takes 2 sugars, who skips their check, which regulars are loyal." She dared to look up. "Even who plants things in drinks they shouldn't." He went still, eyes narrowing. "Go on, Nora." It was both a command and a request. She told him, low and quick, what she'd witnessed. Leela palming a vial in the kitchen, tipping something into a rival mobster's whiskey minutes before, the movement meticulously masked by her feigned stumble. Nora hadn't known what, just that the whiskey suddenly reeked acrid, sharp as paint thinner. "I made an excuse to clear the table. I dumped it in the sink before anyone could take a sip," she whispered, pulse jumping. Marco shifted. "You're certain?" "I know what I saw, and I know Leela has friends from the south side." Her fingers brushed the napkin she'd folded before, its square edges proof of her steadying hands. He took this in, dangerously quiet, then a low order. "Sit." He dialed his phone, voice flat. "Cancel the shipment, double the security at the loading dock, and get eyes on Cassini's men now. Tell no one else." He looked back at Nora. "For tonight, you stay in my care." Nora hesitated as his hand hovered near her shoulder. He stopped just short of touching her, but the intent was unmistakable. Protection, not possession. "Thank you, Mr. Romano." "Call me Marco, you've earned it." His mouth twitched. "And you're not going back out there, not yet." The air between them hummed, uneasy but changed. When the next summons came, an urgent message from Vito, Marco pulled on his overcoat and gestured for Nora to follow. "We leave, now. Stay close, Nora. Don't let anyone else speak to you." She obeyed, steps less hesitant, as they exited into the night's tightening jaws. The night wind cut sharply as Marco's armored Escalade idled by the curb. Vito scanned the alley while a second bodyguard checked the back seats. Nora huddled, pulse frantic, as Marco shifted beside her in the wide rear bench. His cologne, citrus, tobacco, the barest thread of something old, lingered whenever she inhaled. They rolled away from Dearborn, city lights streaking the windows. Marco's phone chirped with encrypted messages, each arrival ratcheting the tension tighter. In the street lamps' shifting shadows, Marco studied her face, forehead drawn. "You have a gift," he said simply. "How long have you been paying attention to what people slip into drinks?" Nora studied the passing blur of buildings. "Since the first week, bartenders cut corners, people expect me to be invisible, so I listen and I watch." He regarded her openly now. "You didn't run, even when that girl tried to humiliate you." She met his gaze. "Running never helps, they'll laugh harder if you do." He hummed in deep approval, glancing at Vito. "You hear that?" Vito shrugged, but respect had been carved into the lines of his face. As they turned onto Lake Shore Drive, Marco's phone buzzed again. This time his jaw tightened for real. "There's a plan to take my head tonight. Cassini's moving early. We have 1 hour until they hit the ballroom at the Wellington." His gaze flicked to Nora again, then lingered. "You come with me." She startled, "But I..." "You see things others miss. That's worth more than muscle tonight." He nodded to the bodyguard. "Keep her in sight. Anybody touches her, they answer to me." Nora's courage found a new mooring in his words. She drew her spine straighter, hands anchored in her lap. Her eyes tracked each sign, each unfamiliar turn, sorting every piece for meaning. By the time the Escalade rolled past iron gates into Marco's estate, dread had morphed, fear uneasily alloyed with hope. The Romano mansion's marble foyer glittered with cold, expensive light. Upstairs, voices bickered in the war room, flurries of councilmen, underbosses, muscle. Marco moved with surgical focus, guiding Nora through a side door into a smaller parlor. He passed her a robe, turning his back so she could discard her apron in privacy. She wrung her hands while he barked orders into secure radios, orchestrating a blizzard of shell companies, armored convoys, and backup plans. Nora studied the gold filigree around the room's fireplace, absorbing conversations through latticed vents she recognized from her janitorial cleaning shifts, another job they never noticed her doing. The hush deepened. Marco turned, his face stripped bare of pretense under lamplight. "Who do you trust, Nora?" She considered. "No one here, not fully." He gave a bitter smile. "That's right, even my own lieutenants listen with one ear for my orders and one for the highest bidder." He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "If this goes badly tonight, everyone in this house will scatter like wolves. You." A voice barged through the intercom. "Vito. Dawn, ballroom secured, but there's something wrong. We found a vial in Antonio Cassini's jacket, same as Leela used." Marco turned to Nora, voice razor sharp. "Did you ever see Leela and Cassini together?" Nora nodded. "She left a lipstick-stained napkin in his wine glass 2 nights ago. He kept the glass." Her mind ticked through the details. The symmetry was unmistakable. He regarded her as if seeing her properly for the first time. Carefully, Marco slipped one hand beneath her chin, lifting her face toward his. "Tonight I need eyes sharper than any gun. Yours, Nora." He pressed his thumb to her cheek, gentle as a vow. She shivered, not from fear. "I'm ready." Their moment fractured as Vito appeared in the doorway. "Time's up. The South Side is moving. Cassini's already at the Wellington. He's demanding a public meeting now." Marco drew himself up, his voice resounding through the room. "Everyone to the ballroom. We settle this tonight." He met Nora's gaze, equal parts question and challenge. She held steady, chin high. As they moved together through velvet-curtained corridors toward destiny, Marco's hand settled at the small of her back, the message unmistakable. Not just protection, but partnership. The Wellington Hotel's main ballroom pulsed with the shiver of crystal and threat. Political power brokers mixed with enforcers in tailored suits. The air stank of fear masked by champagne. Marco entered like a king returning from war, Nora 2 steps behind, every eye flicking past her except Cassini's. Antonio Cassini cut a rat-esque silhouette in pinstripe, eyes darting, smile greasy, his own guards a ring of stone. His hand, Nora noticed, toyed with a slender glass bottle. Liquid fear. Marco and Cassini exchanged ritual insults masked as welcomes. Vito hovered, thick-shouldered, one eye on Cassini, the other on Nora, as if she were a new species. "Don Romano, you seem tired," Cassini smirked. "Should have brought a better entourage." His gaze flicked over Nora with derision, or at least one who doesn't eat all the profits. Nora's jaw locked. The humiliation was a painting she'd memorized color by color, but Marco interrupted, voice a sharpened coda. "No more games. If you threaten my people again," he gestured, "there will be no next time." Cassini slid the glass vial behind his back, mask slipping. Marco's signal was imperceptible, a single nod at Vito. The room stilled. Then chaos? One of Cassini's men lunged toward the bar, hand in his jacket. The crowd surged. Nora's path to Marco was blocked by a tangle of chairs and panicked servers. But she saw with the clarity of an afterimage, the glint of the poison bottle now clutched by Leela, who'd materialized at Cassini's side, face pale. Nora stepped forward, voice ringing clear for the first time all night. "Stop! That drink, don't touch it!" She snatched the glass from Cassini's hand before he could react, tilting it beneath her nose. "What are you, the taste police?" Cassini jeered. Vito forced his way beside her, taking the glass. He hesitated, sniffed, frown deepening. That's not whiskey, it's cyanide. Eyes around the room widened, the word alone was detonator enough. Leela blanched, hands shaking. He made me do it, she wailed, pointing at Cassini. The crowd convulsed as bodyguards restrained Leela and Cassini both. All eyes whipped to Nora. She, for the first time, met every gaze and did not falter. People always forget the ones who serve them, she said softly. That's how I saw what nobody else was willing to look at. Marco stepped forward, cupping her jaw with deliberate tenderness in front of the entire syndicate and every rival who'd only moments earlier dismissed her. You saved us all, Nora Wilda. In stunned silence, Cassini and Leela were led out by Vito's men. The syndicate, for the first time, bowed its collective head in gratitude toward the invisible waitress. When the ballroom emptied and cleanup began, Marco pulled Nora into a private alcove lined with velvet palms. The midnight hush felt different now, less dangerous, more expectant. Outside, the city throbbed with life and secrets. Inside, Marco turned her gently, sliding a heavy gold signet from his pinky onto her finger. There are 1,000 ways power can be lost, he said, voice threaded with awe, but only one way it can be won, by seeing what others will not. He regarded her, the crease of her smile, the courage in the set of her chin. Nora Wilda, you are my vision. His words were low, a promise and a warning to any who might dare cross her again. In the weeks that followed, Leela faced public disgrace and a battery of charges. Cassini's empire was dismantled in a cascade of asset freezes and betrayals. But for Nora, the world transformed. She was introduced not as staff but as partner, at Marco's side, welcomed into rooms where her name now carried weight, her dignity unassailable. On the mansion balcony at dawn, city sprawled at their feet. Marco wrapped an arm around her shoulders, claiming her place with him for all to see. She turned to him, sunlight catching the gold on her hand, and said with a confidence forged in fire, I'm not invisible anymore. If you found Nora's story gripping, tap like to support powerful heroines. Subscribe for more mafioso tales where dark romance bends every rule. Don't forget to ring the bell so you never miss a crowning moment. Marco's thumb traced the ring on Nora's finger, his mouth ghosting the line of her hair as applause, hesitant at first, built behind them in the ballroom. Word of Cassini's plot and Nora's courage was already spreading. Faces that had dismissed her an hour ago now watched with raw, unsettled deference. Vito approached, bruised knuckles bandaged, a rueful grin on his face. You did good, Nora, he said, unexpected warmth roughening his voice. None of the old crowd saw it coming. He hesitated, clearing his throat. Marco's lucky you were watching his back, not just waiting tables. Nora's reply was gentle but certain. It's the same thing, really, only with higher stakes. She shot Marco a sly look and the tension eased, a few chuckles breaking the strangeness building at the edges of the syndicate's world. Marco wrapped her hand in his. This changes things for you, for us. There was steel in his tone, but vulnerability too, a glint of worry that those at the top seldom dared. Nora's gaze swept the space where masked waiters now relined tables as if nothing had happened. You know they'll still talk, she murmured. Some of them more than before, about me, about you letting me close. He smiled fierce, let them, every empire is built on stories, ours starts with you, Nora. His eyes flicked to her left, walk with me. He led her through the gilt-trimmed hall, syndicate members parting like silk. She caught snippets. She spotted it, did you hear? Romano trusts her, maybe we should. That's the one Cassini was after. Outside the ballroom, Marco paused beneath a chandelier dripping crystal. The mob's inner circle clustered, wary, uncertain. Marco addressed the room, his basso voice rolling. This city survives on sharp eyes and sharper loyalty, qualities our Nora Wilda has in abundance. He fixed each capo in turn with a look. She is under my protection. More, from tonight, she will advise the Romano family. Any who doubt her judgment answer to me. A few faces soured, but no one spoke. Leela, pale and handcuffed, was escorted past, trailing regret. Cassini's curses echoed down the corridor. The sound was a coda, not a threat. Nora tried not to tremble beneath the stairs. "If you value peace in this house, pay attention to the overlooked," she managed, voice steady. "Sometimes it makes all the difference." A hush, then the smallest ripple of applause. When Marco squeezed her hand, she realized his was no longer shaking. Later, as the last guests departed, Nora found herself sitting at a marble bar slick with the ghosts of expensive scotch. Marco touched her wrist gently. "You did more than save my life, you changed it." She traced a coaster's edge, words slow but measured. "I just saw what needed seeing. I didn't want you to die, or Layla even. I thought maybe, just once, someone should step up for the invisible." Marco laughed, softer than she'd ever heard it. "Invisible? You are more visible than any of them dared dream." He leaned close, his whisper braiding with her breath. "Do you regret this, Nora? Any part of tonight?" She considered the question, long and searching. "No, but there's something I want to understand. Why me? You could have chosen any number of loyal soldiers." He studied her. "Because soldiers follow, you act, even when no one gives you permission. You remember the details, little things that decide wars, not just dinners." Embarrassed, she ducked her gaze. "They'll never let me forget who I was, the waitress, the fat girl." He interrupted, velvet and iron. "Let them try. Every empire, Nora, is forced to reckon with whoever holds its truth." He took her chin, head tilting. "You ever wonder what would have happened if you'd left that poison alone?" She stiffened. "Someone would have died, maybe you, maybe a bystander." He shook his head. "Not just that, the Romano family would have shattered, Cassini would own the city by week's end, Leela would have vanished, another failed pawn." He let the silence carry the weight. "Your choice tonight was bigger than this ballroom, you changed the balance." She tried to smile. "It's lucky I was hungry enough to take the late shift then." He grinned, pulling her in. "No, Nora Wilda, it's lucky for us all you decided to stop hiding." Dawn crested across the city as Marco drove Nora home, his hand never leaving hers. Streets once hostile now glimmered with promise. She watched reflections bloom on the windshield and felt for the first time the horizon was not a line she'd never cross, but a path she'd help shape. At her apartment, Marco walked her to the door, his suit wrinkled, his control momentarily soft. "I'll see you tomorrow," he asked, world-weary Dawn suddenly just a man unsure. She nodded, heart thundering with something truer than fear. "Try and stop me." He leaned in, mouth brushing her brow. "Rest, Nora, everything begins anew." She waited until he was gone, then closed her door and sank onto the battered couch. Across the room, a city sunrise turned dirty alleys to gold, and Nora Wilda let herself believe, finally, deeply, that she belonged in the light. 6 weeks later, Carlotta's on Dearborn had a new owner. The sign on the door read, "Under new management, the Wilda table." Inside, Nora greeted the regulars by name. The staff listened when she spoke, their eyes no longer sliding past her. Each day at noon, Marco arrived for lunch unaccompanied, no guards. He'd sit by her office reading accounts as she gave orders. Once, Leela stumbled in, days out of jail, trembling and gaunt. Nora met her at the bar. There was no malice in her voice when she told her, "There's work here if you want to earn it honest." Leela wept, nodding. On weekends, Vito dropped by for coffee, muttering about bosses who eat family meals on time now. And Marco's syndicate thrived in the hush that follows true loyalty. And Nora, never just the waitress again, ran her house and Marco's with subtlety and steel. Her presence became legend in back alley whispers and boardroom bets alike, someone who saw what no one else did. One rainy night, Marco twined her fingers with his and looked out at the city. "What do you see, Nora?" She smiled, tracing the new sign's gilded edge with her free hand. "A future," she said, "ours and mine." He kissed the knuckles of her scarred, strong hand. The city, alive with second chances, spun on as Nora Wilda claimed her place in every room, unseen by none, diminished by no one, and finally wholly herself. The end. But the city's story never truly ended. It only changed hands. On rainy mornings, Nora took her coffee in the front window of the Wilda table, steam fogging the old glass as life jostled along Dearborn. Sometimes she watched the street for danger, out of habit more than worry. The Romano name still commanded respect, but now laughter echoed brighter in the dining room. In those moments, Nora's shoulders eased. For the first time, she had built something no one could tear down with a sneer. One Thursday, as the lunch crowd trickled in and Marco's seat remained empty, there came a tap at the door. Nora glanced up, tension pricking her neck. It was Leela, cleaned up, hair knotted back in a messy bun, hands white-knuckled around a resume folder. Nora nodded her over, meeting her halfway. "I know you said I could try," Leela started, voice small, "but can I really belong here?" Nora smiled, gentle but firm. "Everyone starts out not belonging, Leela, even me, especially me," she motioned to a bar stool. "You want the job or what?" Color rushed to Leela's cheeks as she nodded. "I do, I just thank you." Nora shrugged, hiding her own emotion in a half-hearted grumble. "Don't thank me till you've scrubbed the oven." Leela laughed, the sound brittle but growing fuller. "Yes, boss." As Leela disappeared into the kitchen, Marco finally appeared at the threshold, reins slicking his hair, an unreadable look on his face. He watched Leela go, then met Nora's eyes. "That was kind," he said softly. Nora scoffed, but warmth rose anyway. "Kindness runs an empire longer than fear," she replied, echoing his old lessons. He grinned, crossing the room to press a kiss to her temple. "You're changing this city, one stubborn heart at a time." She slid her fingers through his. "It's not just me, not anymore." She gazed around, the regulars waving, Leela bustling with a washcloth, Vito setting the clock straight on the wall. "I see a place where nobody else goes unseen." Marco squeezed her hand, "And in return, no one will ever see you as less again." Nora smiled, her world awash in rain and lamplight. The city alive, her story unending, its next chapter ready and waiting. In the refracted glow of evening, laughter spilled from the Wilda table onto the street, and inside, Nora stood tall in the warmth she had wrought, seen, heard, unbreakable.